Well, let's briefly talk about the Chinese spy trial. Well, you know what happened with these two no-marks, these little guys. One was a civil servant, the other was some kind of teacher. They were basically selling secrets to China. They deny that. That's the allegation. There was going to be a court case. And the government, so the story goes, refused to allow the prosecution, the CPS if you like, to use the argument that China was an enemy of this state, an enemy of the British state. They didn't want to upset China. And so the CPS, Crown Prosecution Service, said, well, if we can't say that, the entire prosecution collapses, falls down. So the trial was cancelled and these two guys walked. As I say, important to stress, they deny the offences. Now, you know, it is as clear as night follows day that the government is up to here in this. Their chief security advisor, Jonathan Powell, seems to be the mover and the shaker, who said, oh no, we don't want to go down that road. We've got to stay on the right side of China. And that collapsed the trial. I'm not sure it would have collapsed the trial, actually. I still think they could have put up a good case, but that, you know, that's history now. But Starmer and his crew have been pathetically squirming around, saying, oh no, not us, Gov, nothing to do with us. The CPS saying, well, as far as we're concerned, it is to do with you. And frankly, Philip, no one is believing a word that these inveterate liars from our Labour government are saying.
No, I mean, if you think about historically as well, if you think about things like Kim Philby and Burgess and McLean and all of that kind of stuff, this is, it's not quite up there, but it's really serious stuff. And the government is up to, as you say, up to its eyes in it. You know, the reason it can't go any further with this hostile power, the most powerful hostile regime on the planet, is that the government have said, well, they're not hostile. Of course they're hostile. You know, and it feels as though we're stupid. We are making ourselves victims, and it's almost like we're looking at an aggressive tiger here and making a meal of ourselves.
Yeah,
it's absurd.
Yeah. So the two suspects who deny all the charges against them were Christopher Cash, a 30-year-old ex-parliamentary researcher, and a guy called Christopher Berry, who's a 33-year-old teacher. They were charged last year with passing politically sensitive information to a Chinese agent between December 2021 and February 2023. As I say, they deny those directors, and their case against them has collapsed. And the Director of Public Prosecutions has directly blamed the government's refusal to brand China a threat. Now, Starmer is trying to say this was nothing to do with the government, and worse than that, Philip, he's trying to blame the Tories because this case did start. Everything that ever happens with it. Wow, yeah,
it's a spying black hole. Yeah.
You've got old Rachel from accounts, you know, absolutely destroying the economy. Well, it's not my fault, it's the Tories. They left a black hole. Yeah. Oh, we believe you. So he's now saying, oh, it's the Tories. It's the Tories. Well, look, it is true that this case began under the Tories, and a witness statement was taken from Jonathan Powell's deputy, Matthew Collins, who in the great scheme of things, in the great tradition, is now taking all the flack.
Yeah.
You know, when the crap really hits the fan, you know what happens in the establishment, in the government? Deputy heads will roll. They're desperately sort of circling the wagons around Jonathan Powell. No, it wasn't him. No, it was. Yes, it was. Of course it was. But it wasn't the Tories who decided to tell the CPS, I'm sorry, we will not stand up in court and say China is an enemy and a threat. It was Labour. It was Labour. Basically, this is just Starmer and his gang lying again.
It's Starmer and his gang lying again, and it's just one more thing, isn't it? And we keep stacking all these things up. We talk about these things every week. It's stupidity on the one hand, it's naivety, it's lies, and it's downright incompetence as well, okay? Incompetence on a grand scale here, on a global scale, dealing with a very, very dangerous opponent. independent, and these two little people who've denied all of this stuff, and that's fine. But then again, you know, if I was up for treason, I would deny it as well, because it's fairly serious.
Yeah, Richard Dearlove, Sir Richard Dearlove, who was formerly the head of MI6 during this phase, he was on. He's a good guy. He's now, you know, free from the shackles of espionage and is able to speak relatively freely, although he still sits on a lot of serious secrets. He was on Julia Hartley-Brewer's show this morning, and he could barely disguise his rage. He did say, he essentially said that what we've got here is a mixture of crass incompetence by this government and lying.
Yeah.
That's what he said. Yeah. And that sums our government up, doesn't it? A toxic cocktail of utter incompetence and lying. That's all they do. Yeah. And that, I mean, Rachel Reeves at the moment, I mean, you know, come on. Do you really think that we're buying it? I didn't realise that the economy going into the toilet wasn't her fault. I didn't realise it was all down to the Tories and new enemy, Brexit. I mean, God damn it, who do they think we are? They think we're 3 years old.
I mean, it's just like we're fighting on so many fronts and losing on so many fronts. They're allowing 1,000 small boat kind of migrants coming in a day, almost. You know, so that's within the country. Outside of the country, just as serious. We've got all of these hostile powers lining up because they know that the government is stupid, and now America is looking at us and thinking, yes, the government is stupid as well, and not taking us seriously. In many ways, America and Donald Trump not taking us seriously is the most worrying thing.
Yeah, by the way, America are extremely concerned about this spy trial. Let's quickly watch before we go to break. This is Kemi Badenoch challenging Starmer on this China crisis yesterday in Parliament.
On Monday, the security minister repeatedly told the House that ministers did not take decisions, that it was the Deputy National Security Advisor who had full freedom. Is the government seriously saying that only one man, the Deputy National Security Advisor, had anything to do with this failure? Is he seriously saying that the Deputy did not discuss with the National Security Advisor, did not discuss with the Home Secretary or with anyone in Downing Street? Is the Prime Minister seriously saying that?
Yes.
Well done, Kemi. Kemi's getting better, you know. That was very good. And Tom Tugendhat today, the former Armed Forces Minister, Tory now, of course, a Tory MP now, he stood up in Parliament today. He was furious. I mean, he's a mild-mannered guy. And he said, the government is actually trying to tell us that this entire decision about effectively collapsing this trial, saying, no, Britain will not concede that China is a threat, that entire massive national decision was made not by the chief security advisor, unelected Jonathan Powell, but by his deputy, a civil servant called Matthew Collins. Tom Tugendhat said, well, if that is the case, he said, here we are, 650 MPs, we might as well all pack up and go home. Because we clearly have no role to play in governing this country. Tom Tugendhat is right, Kemi Badenoch is right, and, you know, well, let me know what you think, but you're not really allowed to use this kind of phrase now, but if Keir Starmer's telling the truth, I'm a Chinaman. Probably I'll get in trouble for that, but, you know, wordplay and all that, I think it's allowed.